Guarantee that every single one of you has blown a prop firm or a prop firm challenge at some point in your trading life. I would go as far to say that 100% of people that have tried prop firms have blown an account. I don't think I've ever met someone that's not. It's a very easy thing to do, and I've been in this position loads of times myself. And I actually did a video on this a little while back about how I pass an account from literally 10% drawdown or 9.8% drawdown or something like that, with a max drawdown of 12%, and I actually got all the way down to that and then ended up passing the account. And I wanted to talk a bit more about today how you can do that, how you can save an account from drawdown and not blow it and pass it. Pretty sure everyone's been in this position at some point. And this was an account. This wasn't a funded account. This was just a, phase one of an account. And I was 10% in drawdown. The max drawdown was 12%. And I think I had to make 10% to pass the account. So essentially I had to make 20%, the 10% drawdown that I was in, and then obviously the 10% to actually pass the thing. And I ended up making that 20% in 2 months, past the account. And you can go and see, I'll link the video, but you can go and watch that video back. You can see how I went from literally negative 10% all the way to passing it in 2 months, making 20%. So I've done this, and I'm going to tell you how I did it and what I would do if you were in this position, how to fix it. So the first thing you need to do, and I think the thing that messes everyone up, is you don't need to change the plan, right? If you've tested your strategy enough, you know the data's there to support your trading, to support your strategy, and you know that you will make profit with it, but you might have just hit, a losing streak, or maybe you made some mistakes, but don't change the plan. You want to keep the plan exactly the same. And the reason is, if you say drop risk, then what if you then next trade hit a win? You're now winning less than you should have, just to avoid that loss. And so I'll talk a bit more about that later, but as a strategy overall and the plan as an overall, you should not change anything about the plan. Keep trading it exactly like how you've tested, exactly like how you've traded it before, because you want to make sure that you don't add any variables that you haven't accounted for or data that you haven't accounted for into your trading. So keep everything the exact same. That's the first thing you need to do, and where a lot of people go wrong, because if you risk that 1 or 2% that you have left and it loses, so be it. That was just not to be on that account, but you know that it is savable if you have the data for your strategy. So do not change anything. That is the first thing you need to do. Now, the hardest part, I think, when someone's in this situation is managing the psychology of it, right? Is very tough psychologically. You might have taken multiple losses in a row. You feel pretty down because you think you're going to blow the account, and it's very hard to stay disciplined and motivated, I guess, overall with your psychology on this trading, because as I said, you've taken multiple losses, you've taken hits, and it's going to be hard to stay disciplined, not over risk, not under risk, following your plan. Not taking profit early is another one that a lot of people do. Letting losses win, just giving up, any of those psychological side effects from being in this drawdown, you want to keep to an absolute minimum, which I know is difficult, is not easy to do, especially when you're in drawdown like this. But you just need to do things that take your mind off. Maybe take a break, maybe try and build your discipline elsewhere, go to the gym, read more, whatever it is that works for you. For me, it was the gym, and that's kind of like my sort of emotional outlet. But whatever it is, just make sure you do it, and really make sure to hone in on your psychology, keep it in check, and do not let it slip, because that is why most people fail this. As I said, they get angry, they over risk, they under risk, they start taking profits early, loads of things go wrong, and you want to make sure that that is not you. Now, as I said earlier about reducing risk, this is a big one, and you really, really need to make sure you don't do this. Some people will say do decrease risk, some people will say don't. And I think for a personal account, it makes a bit more sense to maybe decrease risk, but for prop firms, it doesn't really matter. You don't have any personal capital in the account, just sort of the buy-in fee. And so you don't want to reduce risk, because if you do decrease risk and the next trade is a winner, maybe say you were meant to make 3%, you're now only going to make 1%. And then that messes up your whole risk to reward, your whole profit factor, because you're now winning less and losing more. And it just doesn't help your strategy, because then what if you then have a win, you take 3, losing trades next. If you only take the 1% profit because you've reduced risk, you're going to be back down negative 2% again. Whereas if you just held to 1 to 3 on that trade, took profit, made 3%, then you have 3 losing streaks, guess what? You're only back to break even. So do not decrease risk. In my opinion, I think it's far easier just to keep it the same. If you lose the next 2, so be it. Try again on a different account. But just so that you can avoid having a win and making less, don't decrease risk, but also don't increase risk, right? Don't just send the last 2% or 3% on one trade and expect to make it. That's also silly. Just follow the strategy. If your strategy says risk 1%, risk 1%. If it says 2%, risk 2%. Whatever it is that you sort of risk normally, just keep it like that. Now, the next thing is something that you can also do, which is look at your data more. Look at how does your, what is the max drawdown on your strategy? Maybe it's 10%, right? And then, you've hit that 10%, and over 5 years, that's the max you're going to have in drawdown. Chances are the next one will win if you follow the strategy. So look at your data more. Look at what is your max losing streak? What is your average drawdown per trade, per period of 10 trades? How many do you lose? How many do you win? Because then you kind of start to get a picture, and you can build that data to reinforce how you feel about your trading. Like for me, I knew that my max drawdown was 11%, I believe, on the strategy I was trading at the time. And so that meant I could still lose another trade, but that should be the max I lose across a year or 5-year period that I was testing that in. And so I knew that. And so I just kept trading it normally because, okay, that's fine. I was just hitting my max drawdown across 5 years, and the chances are it shouldn't be this bad again. And lo and behold, it wasn't. So look at your data more, look at what your max drawdown is, look at what your average drawdown is, both in the trade and across, say, 10 trades, look at your win rate, because then you can kind of start to build a picture and almost predict the chance that certain things will happen in the future with your trading. You might be able to see that, okay, based off the data I have here, the next 2 should win, and the next, 2 should win, then I should have a couple losses, and then another 2 should win, and guess what? I'll be out of drawdown. So look at the data you've collected more. If you don't have data, then you shouldn't be trading prop firms. You shouldn't be trading at all with any money. You should be building that data so that you can use it for situations like this. And lastly is just be patient. Try not to just take any random trade that comes up. Trade the ones that fit your plan perfectly. If that takes a week, 2 weeks, a month, it doesn't matter. Just be patient, wait for that setup to come, and then you can take the trade. Vice versa, if the trade comes the next day, absolutely take it, but just be patient overall. Wait for the right setup. Don't just trade anything because you want to make it back, or you think that trade will get you the win that you need. Just be patient, trade what you want to see, and that way you'll find you have the best success, like I did, of taking an account from near max drawdown on a prop firm to passing it. But let me know what you think. Have you done this before? I'm sure everyone's been in this position many a time. Let me know if this works for you, and I will see you in the next one.